Which players are providing points that are giving general managers the best value for their cost? So, cost per point gets thrown around, and I wanted to do this now that we're about a quarter way through the season. What this means is simple. If a guy's if a guy makes $7-8 million a year and he's produced 20 points, okay. But if a guy's making $800,000 and he's produced 20 points, that's a pretty good investment. Now, I excluded from this list anybody on an entry-level contract. If they're on an entry-level contract, this does not apply to them at all. Because, again, you're going to have then it's going to be completely filled with guys like Pettersson, Makar, and it doesn't tell you which GM's got guys on really good bargain contracts. It just tells you who's still on an entry-level contract. So that being said, let's take a look at 9 monetarily. Okay, so these are $9 values. There will be some dollar values where they have more than one player on the list. So at number 9 technically, but there's 12 different players, is Nick Paul. And cost per point, he's produced 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Not too bad for Nick Paul. So already, that's pretty good return on investment. $93,000, almost $94,000 per point. So we're all clear on it? Good. Next up, at $92,308 per point, for the New York Islanders, having produced 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points, Brassard. And this is where I think cost per point tells you the smart general manager. When Brassard was signed by Lou Lamoriello, there were a lot of people that looked and went, well, he's done. He went through how many teams last year? He's been with how many teams in the last 3 years? He's pretty much done. It's a signing. That's nice. Maybe he'll turn it around a little bit, but I don't think anybody expected 13 points already out of Brassard. So very solid signing for Lou Lamoriello. Next up, $88,889. So cost per point will continually drop, meaning the best cost per point contract right now is only $55,000 a point. Yeah, you're saving money. Whereas Matthews right now, you're looking at $11 million divided by 25. It's not great value yet. It will be by the end of the year. It'll be pretty good. And it'll be fun to look at this at the halfway mark of the season. It'll be fun to look at the end of the year. These numbers I get from Cap Friendly. So these are readily available numbers. Next up at $88,889 per point is Tyler Ennis. So Ennis, who has 5 goals and 4 assists so far for 9 points, is proving to be a pretty good investment for the Ottawa Senators. Of course, he was a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs and now has moved along to Ottawa. And yeah, he's fit in pretty well. Next up, $87,550 for this guy. He has 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. I just had to shove them down because I'm hoping I have enough room here. I haven't actually measured it all out, so we'll see. It'll be an adventure for both of us. And that's Grant in Anaheim. Now, that doesn't cover getting punched in the face last night or getting an elbow across the chin. But at $87,500 per point, he's having a good year, and that number's only going to drop. These numbers can only go down. They can't go up. So far, so good. Hat trick definitely helps with that. And, yeah, that's pretty solid overall total. Good investment. Next up at $83,333, we have 2 players. 2. So first up, we're going to San Jose. And again, I'm going to push these down just a little bit. 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points. And already on the board, even though he had a slow start, Kevin Labanc. Yep. Kevin Labanc has been every bit the bargain for San Jose that we had expected when he signed that contract, which of course made some fans kind of angry. They talked about cap circumvention, to which I shook my head and said, that's not what cap circumvention is at all. But I understood why people said it. Labanc's betting on himself, and so far, he's kind of winning that bet. He's on pace for about 50 points, about 25 goals. That's a pretty good season, and that involves a big raise after that. At $83,333 as well. From Florida. With 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points, is Malgin. Malgin's had a very solid start to the season. He's on a very cap-friendly contract, which ties into the fact that they get these numbers from cap-friendly. And in general, very good player. Florida is very, very happy with him and the production they're getting. And again, when you measure it against the cost, that's not too bad. So LeBanc and Malgin, same number on the board. $75,000, and he has this all to himself. Pittsburgh, it's not Malkin. It's not, although going from Malgin to Malkin would be fun, wouldn't it? So it's $75,000, and he has scored 2 goals, 8 assists so far this season, and it's Simone for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, Simone's having a pretty good year. The overall numbers would tell you that people might want more goals out of him, but it's not too bad. And when you consider, again, when you're considering contract, it's not bad at all. And this, again, is not entry level. So, good job. This is why I don't have the entry level ones up here, because it would just skew the whole thing. Again, I think it really shows a good GM when you're looking at cost per point. Because by these guys producing really well on cap-friendly contracts, I don't mean to keep saying that, but by producing really, really well on team-friendly contracts, there's a good one, team-friendly contracts, it makes it so you are better capable to either trade them out if you're on a rebuilding team, because their cap hit isn't that high for what they provide, or you're able to bring players in. You're better capable of being able to do that. Next up, at $70,000, we've got a bit of a log jam at $70,000. So push her down again. We're getting to the point where it's getting harder to push that down without pushing them all off the board. This means that people are going to come in at the end and they'll fast forward to the end. They'll go, well, wait, why are their logos way down at the bottom? Haha. And that's Brad Hunt. Not Hunt. Nope. Hunt with the Minnesota Wild. Now, a lot of these points are at the start of the year, but still, it's only costing $70,000 a point for Hunt. He's actually had a pretty decent start to the season for Minnesota, and I'm sure that Minnesota Wild fans are generally happy with the way that his play has gone, even while not necessarily being happy with where the team is right now. Next up, we're going back to the Islanders. Yep. Back to the Islanders, and at $70,000 a point, he has 10 points overall, and that's Devon Toews. Devon Toews, really, really solid production. And again, at $70,000 a point, already at this stage of the season, that ain't bad. That's pretty good. So Devon Toews is on the board, and the Islanders are on the board twice, along with the Senators, which says something again about Lou Lamoriello and the contracts that have been signed. He took a lot of heat when he left Toronto for the signing of Marleau, but since he got to the Islanders, there really hasn't been a contract you look at and you say, oh, that's way too much. So, I don't know. Also on the list for Detroit, another city where their former GM was skewered a lot for the contracts he signed. At 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points, Tyler Bertuzzi. Very, very friendly contract. Very team friendly. And honestly, nobody can complain about the amount of points they're getting from Bertuzzi. When you look at the overall numbers, this might be the best contract in hockey right now. For what you're getting, for what you're paying, Bertuzzi might be the best guy. But numbers 2 and 1 on this list aren't too bad. And what I like is number 2 is the one that I've been saying all along. This might be the best value contract in the league. And I was very glad to see this one near the top. And this is, for the New York Rangers, Anthony DeAngelo. Now, when he signed during the summer, I said the Rangers are getting a huge deal. This $950,000 for DeAngelo. They've paid $61,667 per point from DeAngelo. That is insane. Even if he only scores 15 more points for the rest of the year, that's 30 points for a defenseman that made less than $1 million. That is a crazy deal for the New York Rangers and their fans. And no matter how the Rangers season goes, this contract is a win. Absolute huge win for the New York Rangers. And D'Angelo should get paid the next time his contract comes up. And at number 1 is an Arizona Coyote. $55,357. And I even double checked. When I looked this up, I went, is he just on an entry level then? Because that seems really low. Nope. And he had a good start last year. And then as an RFA this summer, he didn't hold out for more money. And guess what? Connor Garland right now for the Arizona Coyotes at $55,357 a point with 10 goals and 4 assists is the best value right now in the league. That's how much it's costing them per point. So that's pretty darn good. And it's a sign that John Chayka, he's earned that extension in Arizona. While he's had some contracts that have left me scratching my head and wondering what's going on, Garland, huge deal. And he is still signed to that same number next year. So it's not just a 1-year deal at, say, 700. I think it's 750 or 800,000. It's a really small number, but he's signed to it next year too, and he could score 30 goals this year. So again, some pretty amazing contracts, and I'm sure somebody will point out in the comment section below. Notice there's no Leafs on there this year. No. And again, I'm not including entry-level contracts, so there's no Pettersson, there's no Hughes, there's no Makar, because I think entry-level contracts are really pretty straightforward, and it's when you get into the non-entry-level contracts that you talk about where things are at. And I will look at the highest cost per point as well. I don't know that I'll necessarily do that over the next few days or if it'll be next week, but I will look at the highest cost per point too, and maybe just look at this is where we are, and this is, these are contracts that don't look very good right now. And for that, I would probably have to include the 35 plus players. I wanted to look at guys who are, in their prime kind of thing and see where are we getting the most value. And if you're a fan of Ottawa, a couple good contracts there. If you're a fan of the Islanders, same thing. And for Detroit, the Rangers, and Arizona, some good contracts there. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just tapping upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.